Hey sis, welcome back to TBV Lifestyle. I'm Corie, and we are going to talk about hair and, more importantly, loving our hair. Earlier this year, I did a video talking about hair care and some of the things that I do for myself and for my daughter. Thankfully, we have relatively the same type of hair. And so we share products, and it just saves me from spending the extra coin for both of us. But I've noticed that there's one specific thing right now that is deterring curly girlies from really enjoying the hair that God has given them. And we're going to talk about that today. First off, I want to say that I am not the first person to talk about natural hair and how to take care of it. There are hundreds, and I mean literally hundreds, of videos out there on YouTube and online elsewhere that talk about natural hair care, all the way to the general, like myself, to the super scientific and specific. And so if you happen to fall on this video and you're curious and this is the first time you're ever hearing this discussion, I definitely want to give you just a quick snippet of how to discover what type of hair you have, so that it helps you move forward in your natural hair care journey. So one of the first things you want to discover is your curl pattern, right? And so for most women of color, their curl pattern will fall into type 4. Now, whether that's A, B, or C, there's going to be charts that you'll be able to see. I'll probably put one right down here to help you out. But look in the mirror, look at your hair, and figure out what type of curl pattern you have. I will tell you this, you're not going to have just one curl pattern. I'll tell you for myself, I'm in the fours. I have majority B and C, but there is a couple of A. And the only reason why it looks like 4A is because I have a little bit of heat damage. You can't see it right now, but I have a little bit of heat damage from this one time that I straightened my hair with a flat iron. I think for down there, it was too hot. And so it kind of stretched my curls a little bit. But you definitely want to look at your curl pattern. Now, this is my personal opinion. I don't necessarily believe that curl pattern matters, but your porosity and your density does, because this speaks to the hair shaft itself and how it absorbs moisture. So the next thing would be porosity. Do you have low, medium, or high porosity? And the quickest way to do this, if you want to do this at home and you don't have a professional to really help you out, always do what is the tall glass of water test. And what it is that you just take a strand of your hair that's clean. So you freshly washed it, take that strand, put it in a glass of water, and watch to see how long it takes for it to sink to the bottom. If it doesn't sink to the bottom and it kind of just floats at the top, you have low porosity. If it takes a few minutes to sink to the bottom, you have medium. And if it sinks to the bottom right away, you have high porosity. And that speaks to how quickly your hair absorbs water and how long it can stay within your hair. So how long does your hair stay wet? Lastly, there's density. So you want to know the density of your hair because it will help in choosing the right products, how you may style your hair, and the overall, manageability of your hair. And so density speaks to the thickness of your hair strands. Discovering your hair thickness would be really great if we all had a high powered microscope. But because a lot of us don't, we have to more or less eyeball it. And so here are several ways that you can do that. Number one, you can just have your hair loose like how mine is and look in the mirror to see if you can actually see your scalp. If you can see your scalp, you probably have low density hair. If you can see a little bit of your scalp, then it's medium. But if you can't really see it at all, it's high. Another way that you can test that out as well is I do the strand test. And so, like, for instance, let me see if I could do this with y'all. I'm going to take one strand of hair. And thankfully, I have a ring light, so you can't see it right now, but I can. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold with my index and thumb on one hand and just run my other index and thumb through that one strand and see how that feels. If you can barely feel it, you likely have low density hair. If it feels like there's something there, I would say medium. But if it feels like relatively thick, like just the one strand just feels like yo, I could not feel it, then you have high density hair. Another way you can measure density is by taking your hair, if it's long enough, and pulling it into a ponytail and measuring the ponytail. So you can take a tape measure and just measure the circumference of the ponytail. Now, if the ponytail is about 2 inches or less, then you have low density hair. If it's anywhere between 2 and 3 inches, then you have medium. And if it is 4 and above, then you have high density hair. Now, I did say that there is one specific thing, in my personal opinion, that is holding back a lot of curly girlies from loving their natural hair. But to be honest, it's a culmination of small things that lead up to this one thing. So the one thing that I'm referring to happens to be the beauty standard. Now, I said this in my previous video that, what is considered beautiful hair is not necessarily something like my hair. It's either the bone straight, flowing in the wind type of hair, or if they're gonna refer to curls and saying, let your curls fly, the curls that they're referring to are more of the 3 type hair than it is the 4 type hair. So I just want to highlight a few challenges that us curly girlies go through when it comes to learning and loving our hair. One of them happens to be the curl pattern. So I mentioned in the beginning that the curl pattern doesn't really matter as far as discovering your hair type, because you want to know the porosity and the density for your overall hair health. But when it comes to aesthetics, then the curl pattern matters, because what happens with a lot of us is that we see a particular curl type and we want that type of hair. But if you have 4 type hair and 4C hair at that, you're never going to have your hair looking like 3A or 3B or even 3C. And so we become a little jealous, maybe even envious of the fact that our hair doesn't grow that way. And even if we try to manipulate it in that way, we may be successful, but then there's also the possibility that we are unsuccessful. So listen, no shade to anybody who likes 3 type hair. I'm not judging you from that standpoint. What I'm more concerned about is what's happening internally. And also from the external side of things, if you're using products to manipulate your curl pattern to look like something outside of what it is, I'm more concerned about your long-term hair care, right? And that means, like, are you weakening the shafts? Are you even weakening the density of your hair because you're using products that are adverse to what your hair is? And so that would be my major concern, along with, toxic products and what have you. But I don't want to go too much into the weeds. But that is a definite concern and a challenge that we encounter. And so I would examine what's happening inside, and also paying attention to the fact that, look, this is my hair. This is the curl pattern that God gave me. It's not a bad thing. How about maybe I just do a little bit of research into how I can maintain these curls and have them look a way that is, loving and attractive to me, if that makes any sense. So a challenge that we also encounter is our lack of patience in our hair journey. And I'll give you a really funny story. And, still to this day, I kind of kick myself for this, but I digress. So, as I mentioned back in 2015, I did the big chop. I have not had anything in my hair, no processing, no perm, no relaxer, nothing in my hair since 2015. And I achieved the length that I wanted to return to about a couple of years later. I also feel that, in within that time, I had gotten pregnant with my daughter. So I feel like that also played a role in my hair length being what it was. And you'll see right here me holding my daughter at the time. At that particular time, my hair was really long, thick, big and fluffy, and I did something really silly and cut it into a style. And that's what I'm kicking myself for. I wish I hadn't done that. And it's not to say I didn't enjoy the style while I had it, but now we're back here and we're starting over. So yeah, I encounter that lack of patience too. But I got to remind myself that this is a process, just like working out and trying to lose weight or, trying to eat more healthy. This is a process. It's a journey. And so our patience is required if we want to achieve these things. And I get it. You want the here and now because of everything being so instantaneous. But yeah, patience is really required in this process. Last challenge I want to address is your routine. If nothing else mattered prior to this, I pray matters to you. Because what does wash day look like for you? Are you rushing through it, or are you taking time to make sure that every single strand gets the nutrients that it needs? Like it's cleaned thoroughly, it's conditioned well, it's detangled. Are you pretending that you're in a spa and massaging your scalp and giving it the TLC that it needs? That's what I'm talking about. And even in styling, are you taking your time or are you rushing through everything? I get it when you're trying to achieve length. Like I have to use myself as an example. My hair is not as long as it used to be. And going through the styling process can sometimes just feel like, ugh, at the end of the day, I gotta do like, personally, here, confession from myself. I gotta do like 2-strand twists because I don't really know how to cornrow. Yes, I know. But at the end of the day, I still take my time going through my hair and not racking it with a comb or not tearing it apart with my fingers. Like I still continue to detangle, make sure that every strand is moisturized. My scalp is oiled at the end, massaging it into my scalp, and then, kind of either tying my hair down with one of these scarves or a stocking cap, what have you, because I care about my hair and I want it to grow. So, if I'm not on camera, 3/4 of my day is spent in a bonnet, in a stocking cap, or something that is just keeping my hair down and avoiding manipulation because I want it to grow. And so that's my question to you. Like, are you really taking the time and care to your hair? Or are you just trying to get it over with because, I can't stand looking at this thing? It makes the biggest difference in the world. At the end of the day, I'm praying that every curly girly who is watching this right now and has umpteenth questions about whether or not their hair is beautiful, or they've come to a place where they're just absolutely fed up with their hair and they just don't want to deal anymore. I'm praying that it's giving you an opportunity to just think about how you're approaching your hair and why do you not like your hair. Ask yourself the hard questions. Why do you not like your hair? This is beyond styling and saying, oh, I want to look professional or I want to look clean. Who's to say that you rocking your natural hair does not make you look professional or clean? Think about that. And so this is really, truly an inside job. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that from day one, it's been an easy process for me, that every day I woke up, I was in love with my hair. I wasn't. And it wasn't easy. But indeed, it is a process. And when you start looking into the tools to help you put one foot in front of the other, you will start to love your hair. If your hair wasn't meant to be this certain way, it wouldn't. And so I think there's a deeper issue beyond hair, and we can, slap that also on other facets of our life. But at the end of the day, we've got to learn how to love us and to discover the beauty within us. And that will radiate outwards in our faces and our bodies and our hair. So I pray that this message was well received, and just created an opportunity for you to take a moment with yourself and say, you know what? I'm beautiful just the way I am. I don't have to manipulate myself into believing that I have to be a certain way in order to be accepted. You are accepted because you're a child of God. All right, you guys take care. Peace.